Hey y'all, it's Missniecytv and I'm here to do a review for Zatima Season 4, Episode 18. The episode picks up where it left off and Zach and Fatima are trying to figure out what's inside the boxes that's outside their door. So Fatima tells Zach to go look at it. Zach is like, I just told you that there might be a bomb in there. You want to send me over there to go look at it? What's wrong with you? So Fatima's like, well, I can't go look at it. Zach is like, you right. So he gets down on the ground and goes over to the boxes. And when he gets over to the boxes, he sees them say Henry and Mona. Fatima's like, all this stuff is from my mom and my dad. Zach is like, apparently. Zach is like, did you tell him what happened? Fatima's like, no, I haven't had the chance to talk to him because I've been so busy. Then Zach opens up a box and there's a crib in it and he sees a note that's attached to it and he reads it. He's like, the note basically says, I'm sorry to hear what happened to the baby's room. We replaced it since our grandbaby can't go without for me, Ma, and Pop-Pop. Fatima's like, Pop-Pop? He's never said that he wanted to be called Pop-Pop. After Zach and Fatima read the note, they look up at the camera and they see that Mona and Henry have. If it was that easy for Mona and Henry to have the camera, it would be super easy for Leslie or anybody else to do it as well. I knew those cameras weren't secure. So they bring the stuff in the house and bring it upstairs to the baby's corner. Fatima's already made it up the stairs and she's unpacking some of the baby stuff and she tells Zach that they bought a lot of the same stuff. And Zach comes upstairs with the box and she's like, what's in the box? He's like, it's the crib. So she tells him that he's going to have to find somebody to put it together. Zach is like, well, we can put it together and create memories. Fatima's like, that's sweet and all, but that's crazy. I seen that crib and it's like a supercomputer. And it took you 30 days and 30 nights to put it together. Zach is like, I did. Zach asked Fatima, was she ready to call her parents? Fatima's like, yeah, I'm sure they got the notification that everything is delivered and they're waiting on her. Thank you, right? So she calls them. And she's like, thank you for everything. Mona asked how the baby's doing. Fatima's like, the baby's doing fine, just kicking me. Henry immediately asked for Zach, and Fatima's like, wait a minute, I didn't get this excitement. Henry's like, look, Zach, that's a high-tech crib, and you're going to have to find somebody professional to put it together. He's like, okay, and he's like, how? And Mona's like, how do we know? Henry is like, well, somebody that I work with came across the case, and they're handling Leslie's case, and they saw your name on some paper. They asked me how am I handling this stalking situation while I was golfing. Fatima's like, I know you're mad. Henry is like, I should be, but your mama told me not to be. Your punishment is putting all that stuff together by the baby shop. Mona's like, I am no. How's your mental? Fatima's like, I'm okay seeing that she's locked up. Henry's like, well, you know what she got charged with? That's only a misdemeanor. Fatima's like, well, she got charged with birth and injury, property damage. Henry's like, luckily the courts are kind of slow, so she might not get a court hearing for a while. And Zach is like, well, Mr. Wilson, can you work some strings to keep her in there for a little bit? Henry's like, I can't say too much on the phone, but we don't always do things by the book. Henry, I don't think what you're trying to do is going to help because she's like one of the guards to get out, so she's going to be out sooner than y'all think. Henry tells Zach, I gave you my blessing to keep Fatima and the baby safe, and that's your job. Zach is like, I know, I've been working on some things. I hired Fatima a bodyguard, but I have to hire a new one. We tell Zach that Mona and him are on the same team, and Zach doesn't have to do this alone, and he's not in this alone, and they'll be there to help. Henry asks Zach, when are you going to start calling me Dad? Zach is like, I thought you wanted to be called Papa. Henry's like, I do. Mona's like, well, I want to be called Grandma. And Fatima's like, let's not do that. I honestly love the dynamic between Zach and Henry. It's the cutest thing. Henry is really that father figure that Zach. When Zach and Fatima hang up the phone with Fatima's parents, Zach starts asking about the baby stuff and helping with the crib. Fatima's like, I can't help you anyway because I gotta get ready for Sage's listening party. Zach is like, you leaving now? Fatima's like, no, but in 10 minutes. He's like, so, are you ready to call your parents? One thing about Fatima, she gonna use that baby as an excuse not to do something. And Zach is like, some time passes and we see Fatima at the open mic talking to Sage and they're just talking about her father and how the event's gonna go. And Fatima tells them they need to be separate. If not, they're gonna need a mediation and everything. And Sage is like, each could see that Fatima's in her head, so she's like, what's wrong? Fatima's like, this case is big. Sage is like, I know, but this case could put you on a map in more ways than one. Fatima's like, what are you talking about? I just want to be a lawyer in Georgia. Sage is like, you sure you just want to be a lawyer in Georgia? Fatima's like, yeah. That's when Fatima tells Sage that Belinda and Angela are coming in. They come in and they introduce themselves, and Angela's like, I'm a big fan, and they start acting like all fangirly, and Fatima's like, just act normal. She just wants the event to be normal. Angela's like, I'm gonna try to, especially for my health. Fatima tells Sage that it's time for a sound check, so Sage leaves, and Belinda and Angela and Fatima have a conversation. And they're like, you should get up there and sing. You should get up there and sing. Now is your chance. Fatima's like, you sure that's professional? You sure that's professional? Angela's like, you need to be doing more than just your job. Belinda's like, think of it like an audition. Fatima's like, auditioning for what? Belinda's like, she's always looking for somebody. She might need a background singer or something. You sing. Fatima's like, she doesn't want some pregnant lady that lives across the country. Angela's like, you never know. That's when Chelsea comes up, the one that also works with them at the law firm, and she's like, Fatima, you singing tonight? Fatima's like, what's up with everybody in the singing stuff? Fatima's like, I'm just here to do my job and my job only. Chelsea's like, okay, but Sage might have something up her sleeve. You might want to rethink that, basically. So some time passes, and Sage comes out on the stage, and she's introducing her listening party and the album and everything. She gives this whole spiel about her father and how they don't have a good relationship because she was under his conservatorship. But she says she's doing what's best for herself and she's not thinking about nobody else, and she basically says F for daddy, right? So then she goes on to thank her musical team and the producers that help her write the songs and everything, and then she goes on to thank her legal team and especially Fatima, because Fatima's the one that helped her realize that she can do this on her own and she can find her own independence and do what she loves to do, right? So then she's like, I have one more song that's on the album and it needs another voice. And then she's like, I know the perfect voice. Then she calls Fatima up there. And Fatima's like, what? Fatima's like, Chelsea, what you do? I'ma get you. So Fatima goes up there. It's a very vibey song. It's a very chill song. It sounds like something that you would listen to like when you're cleaning up or something on like a Saturday. The song is actually out on like all music platforms, especially Apple Music and Spotify, I believe. The person that plays Sage is the actual musical artist. After Fatima gets done performing, Sage has a conversation with her, and she's like, you have a great voice, you have a great voice, you should be using it, basically, right? And she's like, we'll talk about this later. So Fatima sits back down, and the girls ask her how she feels. Fatima's like, that felt like I was doing something that I was meant to do, and I should have been doing it all along. I think Sage has just inspired Fatima to pursue music fully. Back over at Zach and Fatima's, it's time for their poker night, and the guys come over, they bring beers. Of course, Bryce is the one that brings the wine. Zach is like, it's a guy's night. Why are you bringing wine? Bryce is like, guys drink wine too. They're like, okay. So everybody comes, and they see tools on the table, and they're like, what are these tools for? Zach is like, well, we're gonna build baby stuff before we start this game. Nate is like, so you called us over here to put us to work? Zach is like, basically. Some time passes and the game begins and everybody starts talking about what's going on with them. Nate says, I need this money because I'm trying to pay for this divorce with Lori. And Nate basically asks Zach to ask Fatima if he could get some help with finding a divorce lawyer, one that preferably has a big butt, right? And Zach is like, she can't help everybody. Nate, I don't think she would want to help you anyway. She barely liked you. They're like, are you sad? Nate is like, of course. Me and Lori were together and everything. Nate still has love for Lori, but he realized that they can't be together and everything. And then Nate is, of course, talking about a divorce party. Zach is like, men don't do that. Nate is like, well, I just want one night with the guys at the strip club. Can we do that? Zach starts talking about the baby stuff, and Bryce, of course, brings up Angela. And Zach is like, it makes you want to have a kid, right? Bryce is like, yeah, someday I will. Bryce, you and Angela are nowhere near at the point to be thinking about having kids. So you need to get that thought out of your mind. Little do you know, she's still in love with Sean, but is she gonna tell you that? No. Zach asks about the inspector, and Preston's like, I don't know how this gonna go. I heard that he's just an all-around shady person. He takes bribes to say that the building is clean and good. What I do think happened to you was a racial discrimination situation, and that's not alright. Then Nate brings up the strip club again. Zach, Bryce, and Tony decline, so he looks over at Preston, and Preston's like, I already got a stripper. They're like, what? He's like, no, I already got a stripper that I'm trying to get rid of. Zach is like, you talking to Deja? And the look on Nate's face is like, what? Preston's like, I am, I'm just teaching her how to ride horses. Then they all start doing their own version of horse dance, and that part was so funny. Then they're talking about, we need to grow up, and Zach is like, I'm so glad we grown up. Percy's like, let's do a toast to that. So they wound up doing the toast, and I forgot to mention earlier that Nate did ask where Fatima was, and Zach says she's at the listening party with Sage. Preston's like, so you are supporting her in becoming an entertainment lawyer? Zach is like, yeah, I'm supporting her in anything that she want to do. Some time passes and the game concludes, and Fatima comes home. Zach is still cleaning up. Fatima asks how the game went. Zach is like, Nate won everything. Fatima's like, what? He's like, yeah, he cleared house. Zach is like, so how did everything go with you? She's like, Zach, I want to quit law school to pursue music. The look on Zach's face says everything. I do think he will support her in it, but I think he will be mad at first. Fatima, I understand that you want to pursue your dream, and I'm not saying that's wrong, but becoming a lawyer is something that's stable for you. A music career is something that's not always stable. And do you realize how many more sacrifices you will have to make being away from Zach and the baby? Fatima can pursue her passions in any way that she wants to, and she can do whatever she wants. But I just hope that she realizes that the sacrifices and the time that she will have to give up in order to pursue music. Let me know what you guys think about the episode. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on your bell notifications. Bye!